What's going on?
Whoa, we are live, doing it on a Tuesday night. How are you all? Tex and Ads here from Unity Trading Group. Hope you're keeping well, and of course, making sure that you're subscribing to the YouTube channel because we have content coming out our ears at the moment. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every week for the last couple of weeks. We dropped our Fibonacci video today, so make sure you get over and have a look at that. Already comments on there saying, complimenting how well we broke that down and how simplistic it was to follow it. And for us as swing traders, or really for any style of trader, the Fibonacci retracement tool is so powerful, and actually show you on the BTC timeframe on this exact chart that we're looking at now how relevant those Fibonacci levels are since May this year on the daily time frame, are still being respected since that big drop that we had. So definitely check that out. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and get those notifications every time that we go live. While the market's doing its thing as well, unitytradinggroup.com, loads of guides, everything you need to know. You can pretty much type in a term into Google and follow it with Unity Trading Group these days, and we have a guide for it. So BTC, as it stands, ads, interesting one. Daz from the channel today asked the question about this being a descending wedge on BTC. Looks pretty valid in my opinion, but certainly as it stands right now, we look to be heading back down towards that demand zone, no doubt about it.
Absolutely, 100%. Well, 100% looking at the chart and the price action and where it's headed currently. But when we when we look at the grand scale of things, yeah, it certainly looks that way. Last week we discussed the premise of this level of demand here at 40k, thereabouts, and the options, of course, that we could possibly see it return back up to the 48 or 50k mark around the liquidity area. If you've been following us in the Discord, I had a little bit of a conversation about where it could go over the last couple of days as well. But if you're not there, you can find us on our website, unitytradinggroup.com. But in relation,
of course.
In relation to the BTC area, or where we are headed, of course, we are looking back at that 40k, and I'm not discounting at all that falling wedge formation type.
Yeah, totally. And, from a fundamental standpoint, we were having a discussion inside the Discord, which is free, by the way. Jump onto the website or just look at the link below. We've actually opened up the Discord. We forgot to announce this. We've opened up the Discord for the first time in like 3 or 4 months. We wanted to keep it intimate and close. So if you're watching this, make sure you jump in that link below. Who knows how long we're going to keep it open for. It's an intimate, tight group of guys. So again, jump in there. It's first time in 3 months we've opened that up. But yeah, as we said, fundamentally, towards the end of this month, the Fed over in the States is expected to announce interest rate rises. They're not going to be buying as many bonds and everything this year as well. We know that there's not going to be a stimulus that came out similarly to we won't be coming out with. There won't be any stimulus packages like what there were last year. So, the expectation from my side is that BTC could be acting like this for quite some time to come, where we don't have these meteoric rises to the upside. We could be range bound for a little bit of time. Will the decision from the Fed on the 26th of Jan, which being our 27th, will that have a negative effect on the market if they raise interest rates? We posted the other week as well, CEO of BitMEX, Arthur Hayes was talking about, and Raoul Paul from Real Vision, the CEO of Real Vision and ex-hedge fund manager, was emulating the same sort of sentiment this year, that we might see shorter, sharper runs to the upside and shorter, sharp, violent moves to the downside often throughout the course of the year, where we have these times where the entire market falls, and BTC and crypto will not be immune from any sort of US market or international market downside move. So we need to be really cautious of that. Then the fact that even if we do start to rally to the upside on BTC, this market is pretty timid right now. So we need to be trading cautiously. Again, it's still about capital preservation for myself, heavily tethered at the moment, taking very few trades, admittedly. There's only a couple of alt trades that I've taken in the last little bit as well, but we've seen in the last couple of weeks how alts were rallying for a very short period of time, and then they pulled back quite quickly as well. So I think that's the price action that we're going to expect over the next few months, that's personally in my opinion. But I'm emulating what you're saying here. We're still at that very critical point for BTC. We need to see this 37, 38K level hold. Otherwise, it certainly could be that run back down towards that 32, 33K mark. And what I find on a lot of things, this is not valid by any means, but this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 move is I see this a lot on Ethereum, and BTC is sort of emulating these moves at the moment as well. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those types of moves are becoming pretty clear cut on Ethereum, and now a little bit more so on BTC. So in my opinion, yeah, more downside action to come. And certainly I'm going to look to assess to see what reaction we have at this level. But myself right now, taking no trades at all.
And I'm very much in the same sort of boat, where I have pretty publicly said that I have been accumulating and DCAing myself into the market, or positioning myself pretty steadily into BTC. Looking at the key levels, of course, I have been looking towards this level of demand of course you would assume that, and looking for levels underneath it as well. But nothing too much or too extravagant to report from my end as well. I'm very much in the same boat.
Yeah, and when we're at these levels, you need to consider worst case scenario if you're looking to take a trade, whether it be a short-term trade or whether it be you put your investor hat on and you're looking for long-term levels where you can accumulate at these more relevant points. But what's the worst that could happen? You've got to assess this every single time, and that's why you should have a trade plan. Is this the worst that could happen? Like that we head to this level and we stay here, we might head back up and then look to retest these particular levels. Is this the worst case scenario? If that's the case, surely most people watching this aren't trading with Bitcoins at a time. So you might be buying $1,000 or $2,000 worth of Bitcoin here. You might be buying $4,000 or $5,000 worth of Bitcoin here. But ultimately, that move is not too dramatic in the scheme of things, because in my opinion, this would be a very heavily respected zone. I wouldn't expect BTC to go any further than that, at least in the short term. And if we did, it would be violent and quick, I think, in my opinion, down to that level. So if you're looking to dollar cost average into these areas here, it might be wise to do that, or to consider that, because, as I said, that 30K zone could be the worst of the nearest substantial violent downturn moves on BTC. So if you're cautious or nervous about buying into this level, those are the things that you got to assess. But if you're buying only a couple of grand here or there, then certainly, as Ads has been doing and dollar cost averaging on the way down, myself, I certainly picked up a little bit of BTC on that first touch of that level, and have put that aside in a wallet. So you've got to assess at these critical junctures for BTC what you want to do, because if someone had said to you 3-4 months ago, when we were at 60 odd K, BTC back at 40K, you would have laughed at them. But here we are. So take advantage of it, in my opinion.
Just don't panic as well. Keep you cool. It's always better to take a deep breath and try and position yourself, or of course take the stance that that you want to take, not that that, I guess, if you were panicking and taking irrational moves. So formulate a plan, have it written down, and follow.
100%. All right, let's have a look at Ethereum as we were speaking about it, and have a look at what it's doing. Again, emulating BTC, I would anticipate a move back down towards that 3K, 29K level on Ethereum at the moment. Looking at the daily time frame, there is really very little bullish about that. RSI now pointing down once again after hitting that lows around that 25 odd level RSI level. We know that when we get to that RSI of 30, there certainly still is more room to the downside, just as when we get to the 70 RSI level, there is still slightly more room to the upside. So if you haven't understood how to use the RSI tool, which is free down the bottom there, it's our divergence RSI tool. Jump on the YouTube. There's a video on exactly how to use it, and links to get it on our Tradingview channel. So yeah, for myself, nothing bullish about Ethereum at this time frame for me, bro.
Honestly, not much more to add in the sense of the USDT pairs or the USD pairs in relation to BTC and Ethereum. The bias is still to the downside, as of course the price action or the market structure has not changed since the latest cool off period to the upside, where we went from 3 to about 3-4. So in the general sense of things on a daily time frame, on a macro scale, the bias is still to the downside. Now, whether or not it's going to be this level of demand or the one just under it, of course, we did speak about this last week as well, where we have two levels, usually choose the bottom. in relation to the daily time frame and positioning yourself into a market, I guess you would probably take the entire level into account. That's still a decent swing, but we're talking about a 10% difference thereabouts. So if you're buying at this level here at 3K and then you're buying again at 2.6, well, then you have an average price of in between those two. So we take 5 or 6%, and then you have an average price of 27, which isn't a bad thing, because if we do start to retest and move back up to the upside, you know, coming back up to maybe this point here at 4.2, well, you'd probably be 47% up or 60% up, something thereabouts, when we do head to the upside, if you were to buy at 2.7 rather than 3K. So that's the benefit of DCAing. And of course, we're looking at our moving oscillators for the oversold condition in which we are. So as we do keep descending, those become even more oversold, and those daily time frame levels that you're accumulating on become a little bit more solid and a little bit more respected for a movement to the upside later on.
And if we go to the 2-day time frame, what's interesting as well, and if we put on Unicon on the 2-day time frame with our moving averages, you'll see that the 200 MA aligns really, really well with that demand zone down there. And if we go back in previous times, there's not really been a point since the 25th of July 2020 where we have hit that 200 MA. So, you know, historically, we would look for this to be a pretty significant level of support. And in times where we have blasted through the 2-day or like a significant moving average, I would perhaps look to see this sort of movement if we blasted below our 200 moving average. So that would be this level here, which in my opinion, I think would be kind of the last line of defense for Ethereum. And if we traded, I would say if we traded below like $2,200, $2,000 Ethereum, I'd probably start to get a little bit concerned, to be honest, because that would probably take Bitcoin down into sort of the 20K or high 30K regions, where I'd start getting a little more concerned about things. But yeah, certainly as it stands right now, this is a significant level for me for Ethereum, and that's where I'll be looking to take my next potential pickups on that level. Ads is having a cough, and while he does, you know, what one thing for me, and again I've explained this in another YouTube video, your layer one coins I think or projects are going to be the significant earners in this year, in my opinion, being your Souls, you know, Ethereum, Bitcoin, of course. You know, I think there's still, on the other side of things, I think there's still room for movement for AVAX, for example, as well. One coin that is doing quite well at the moment is Cotti, which I'll post some charts inside Discord. But what's interesting to look at, I think, at the moment from an overall market sentiment is the Bitcoin dominance chart and the total market cap to see what's going on. We'll have a look at the total market cap first, and we can still see that money is flowing out a little bit from the market as it stands. You know, and we're doing a big push on NFTs inside the Discord and on YouTube this year as well. Myself personally, aggressively in NFTs this year. So when the market is doing things like this, you know, you've got Treasure. You know, the Treasure marketplace, you've got the Sol marketplace, you've got OpenSeas with Ethereum. This is the time where, you know, you certainly can be looking at funds that you would allocate towards crypto and maybe allocate them towards projects like that. So keep tuned and make sure you subscribe, because we've got a lot of content coming on NFTs in the next little bit. But yeah, as it stands right now, ads, I would expect us to be heading back down towards that sort of that 1.9 trillion mark on BTC, on Ethereum, the crypto cap.
Excuse me. Undoubtedly. Undoubtedly. Around that 1.9 trillion mark. Sorry, excuse me.
All good, yeah. And while ads does that, you know, I'll add to this is that, you know, again, the market is a little timid right now. The market is a little bit scared. And, you know, I think personally, I think that the announcement that we had towards the end of this month will just heighten that sense of fear, I suppose, in the market for a lot of people at the moment. So, yeah, head back down towards that demand zone, that 1.9 trillion mark. we'd look to see, if we're going to see this market recover, we really need to see a liquidity injection and some volume into this market to push things higher. And again, that's where your layer ones and your OG coins will, I think, take the brunt of the resurgence of the market. And when these altcoins start popping, it certainly will be quick, it will be sharp, and it needs to be treated with a little bit of care. You don't go too deep into alts, in my opinion, at the moment.
Sorry.
All good. So we've explained that. If you want to add anything more to that, or we can look at the BTC dominance and see what's going on with that.
Let's do it.
Again, we've punched through that level pretty convincingly now, in my opinion. Will we see BTC make a resurgence from this level again? This all comes down to assessing what happens at this relevant demand zone that we're at the moment, ads. And as it stands right now, you can look at the BTC dominance chart. You can look at the overall market cap charts and everything as well. But, ultimately you've got to look at where BTC stands at the moment and what's happening with that as a whole, and the market as a whole, where it stands right now for the BTC dominance. It will continue to fall, in my opinion. I really don't expect too much of recovery just yet.
Yeah, neither do I. In relation to the BTC dominance, the trend or the trajectory is still to the downside, and it has been for some time. It's still creating lower lows. You could say we're at a double, we're forming a temporary double bottom at this point, and we'd probably have to wait and see what the reaction is, I guess, to this level here, and then retesting some of this. But it's probably going to be more often or more notable on the 4-hour time frame. Excuse me, when we start to move back to the upside to see if we break some of the critical levels. But more notably, on the 4-hour, having a little bit of a run to the upside, but nothing too substantial. On the daily as well, nothing to get excited about just yet.
No. And as I said, from an alt standpoint, the only one that looks half decent at the moment is COTI USDT on the daily time frame. We've just broken down over, probably a 2.5 month long trend, and could look to see some moves to the upside. ETC looking okay. The ones that have been doing quite well as of late, near USDT, FTM, BTC, Doge even had a little bit of a run the other week as well. But outside of that, I'm still very cautious on alts and any alt trades that I'm taking at the moment. As I said, heavily in the NFT space at the moment, and which is a good distraction from the boredom of this market at the moment.
Very good, sir.
That's it from us. Again, if you want to see any coins that we can chart or things that we can discuss for you, we do this for you. We do this because we love what we do, and we provide all this information for free. So, if you've got an opportunity to share something with us, take advantage of it. We'll record a video, we'll discuss it, we'll put it on a podcast, anything that you like. But you've got to subscribe down below, hit on that notification bell, and make sure that you get updates every time that we go live. And join us, as we said, inside the Discord, open for the first time in 3 months. So share those links, get it out to the masses, and come on in and trade and chart with us. But in the meantime, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next market update.
Catch us later.
Bye-bye.